Greetings, everyone. You see, when we all first came into this world, we had this innocence. We're all well connected to quantum field, where we basically based our reality mostly with our imagination, while we were trying to interact and learn from the world outside us. And we're all connected with love. We all could feel it. There is no internal organ that produces the feeling of love. Love is something beyond the physical manifestation of life. Love is something that we feel with the senses that's not really physical, but it's kind of seeps through this physical reality and then we can experience it as something that's a part of this physical reality, but really it isn't because you cannot explain love. You cannot choose what time to feel love. It just captivates the moment. And we lived in this magical realm for us since we were children until we started learning from the exterior environment, and that's when fear became a focus as opposed to something that's left in the imagination as well. And you notice that the system around you in your country and everyone's environment has to do with control, has to do with force, has to do with violence, using the same um, hand to cause war and using the other hand to create the solution for the war that they have engineered. And we go through this experience back and forth, and humans are not really seeing that this is not what reality is about. This is not what reality represents. We ought to be trying to understand what kind of energy would sieve through from a higher dimension into this physical reality, and we will experience as love, not having any physical internal organ to generate this emotion, or if there is one, and how we can harness this energy and make it a state of being, which will literally become heaven on earth. So it ought to be clear that humans on this planet for about just 200,000 years are new, are just like children who, while the planet is over a billion years old, if you check it from the linear perspective. So that ought to mean that they must have been previous civilizations that have actually conquered many of the situations that the modern human civilization are kind of the challenges that we are facing are things that we also have conquered in the past. Our ancestors also have, conquered many of all these things, and they already have. It's just that the information that humans are permitted to know are not really the informations that are essential to the essence. It's more about information that makes them conform to the system or the structures outside them, that makes them, susceptible to control, that makes them vulnerable and feel victimized by systems, as opposed to making them feel empowered, which is their natural birthright as a cosmic expression on the planet. Like humans are the only biological, advanced, intelligent, biological instrument on the planet. That ought to be something that humans honor within themselves, amongst themselves. And if you have to then create systems, you have to create one that supports the livelihood and the development of each and everyone, as opposed to creating systems that keeps everyone limited and a few people, privileged to the experience of life that's still based on that three-dimensional experience of the exterior world that's still based on limitation, because humans have now based worth of value in the things outside them and not necessarily in themselves. Humans don't really feel that they are the most precious thing on the planet. Humans don't feel worthy of love. They always feel that they have to experience one chaos after another chaos, and it's kind of limited their mental function to ever even consider perhaps there is something greater out there, and even to look back on what they experienced growing up as an innocent expression of the cosmos. And we need to like consider this and look closely at that and look closely at the systems and ask, why don't the government treat people with love and honor, or with compassion, or with, value, in the fact that they are the precious things on the planet. Instead, the value is added to physical, material things outside the human, and then the humans are then punished because of material things that have no worth on its own. And it's something that everyone needs to quietly question as we're shifting the digital money system. It's something that people need to look into and ask themselves, what's my worth? Is your worth in the funds that you have in your bank account, or is your worth in the funds that you will get, or is your worth in just your being or knowing yourself? And humans need to conquer that question, because there's a chance that everyone will probably lose their money or lose a fraction of their money as we're shifting from this paper money cycle to digital currency. And the government might just want to have their way, and then make it only to their own advantage. And that's only if humans, the citizens, allow that to happen. But what's important is that this is a time for humans to question, what do they give value to? Do you give value to human life, or do you give value to a piece of paper? Do you give value to digital algorithm calculations over human experience, over human engagement, human interaction? And starts questioning, perhaps humans were just looking at things differently and didn't see that they are the most precious things on the planet and should treat one another in that same light. So even if your money is taken away from you, you know that you'll be all right, because you have this much of precious people around you to come together and create a solution. And the DNA that we all have has information encoded in it from many years, like over millions of years. So we are actually equipped with the information that we require to, conquer the challenges that we're about to face, and use the knowledge that we've learned from the old world to create a better world. Instead of being afraid of, the challenges, we face it head on, and you know, tackle it with love, compassion, and kindness, with these vices that we seem to have forgotten about in the old world. Instead of replaying the same old vile and chaotic expression over and over again, we should start looking at compassion and treating everything with that at the back of our mind. We'll be sharing more after this. We love you all, and just stay safe. Namaste.